Okay, so I think we are on time already, and we could start the webinar, even if some people are still connecting. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for taking the time to join us today in this first webinar about intelligent services for the wine sector, tackling current and future challenges. This is a webinar organized by the VitiGEOSS project, and my name is Marta Otero. Let me go to the next slide. Here you can see me. I'm a researcher and a science communicator at the Barcelona Supercomputing Center in Spain. Together with my colleague and science communication specialist, Andrea Nicodemu, we will be moderating this webinar. We hope that you have a nice time during the next hour that you will spend with us. This will be the first of a series of webinars that we will organize to explore the use of Earth observation services to improve viticulture operations. In this series, we will discuss the opportunities that information coming from many different sources can bring to improve the sustainable management of vineyards. Improving sustainability, as you know, is a challenge for the wine sector. And in fact, this sector needs to mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change, also to reduce the impacts on the environment and at the same time promote local economic growth. Each of the webinars that we will have in the future will focus on a particular technology that the wine sector can use to make better informed decisions. And we will let you know in due time when we have the topics for our following webinars. Before starting today's webinar, let me just remind you about the agenda that has suffered a slight change. So yeah, let's go through it. First, we will have a welcome and introduction as we have now. Then we will go into tackling current and future sustainability challenges of the wine sector. And for this session, we will have a couple of presentations presenting the project and also the intelligent services. Then we will move into the insights from wine producers. We will have a discussion panel here where we will learn about which are the intelligent services that the project provides to users, and also how these services can benefit viticulture. Then we will have a sneak peek into the VitiGEOSS platform that for you to know it is under development at the moment. And then to finalize, we will have an interactive session and where we would like to know about you, about your thoughts on the intelligent services, and also about what you would like to hear about in next webinars. So you will help us define the topics for the future. And finally, we will close the webinar. So, and now before starting, I would like to indicate you just a few housekeeping rules. First, I would like to let you know that this webinar is being recorded. I think you can see it. And then after the webinar, the recording will be uploaded to the project website and also on our YouTube channel. And those that have registered to the webinar, not to worry, because you will receive also the link directly to your email, and you will be able to watch the webinar again if you are interested. Also, during the webinar, you will be able to send your questions, and you can do that through the questions and answers button. So it's a Q&A button that you can find at the bottom of your screen. And also, if the question that you would like to post is addressed to a particular speaker, you can also indicate it there. Okay, and now, without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker. This first presentation will be given by Rosa Araujo from Eurecat. Rosa is the project manager and also the coordinator of the VitiGEOSS project, and therefore she is going to provide a general overview of the project. So Rosa, when you are ready, you can start with your presentation.
Thank you, Marta. Good morning, everyone. You can start the presentation. Well, today I will introduce you about the overall concept of VitiGEOSS and what motivated this project. VitiGEOSS is a European Horizon 2020 project funded under the call SC516 for the development of commercial activities and services through the use of Copernicus and GEOS data. What we intend is to develop innovative tools for the wine sector with Earth observation services and in-field sensors. This to help to a more sustainable viticulture. The project duration is 42 months. It will end in February 2024. We are currently in month 19 of implementation, which means that we have finished the requirements collection and we are advancing in the development of the services and the platform integration. The consortium is composed of 9 partners representing 4 European countries, which are Spain, Portugal, Italy, and the Netherlands. Next slide, please. These 9 partners have the necessary expertise and represent a complete value chain. On the end user side, we have the wine producers, Maso Bernardino, Symington, and Torres, who help in the design of the services and will validate the platform. As technical partners, we are Eurecat, which apart from being the coordinator, is responsible for the disease service, resource management, and sustainability tool. Then we have Barcelona Supercomputing Center, involved in the high resolution weather and climate component, adding subseasonal forecasting, which is an innovative aspect of the project. Links, providing phenological forecasting. Università di Napoli, providing the phenological model. ILIF, leading the crop status service and designing the platform for its commercialization. And finally, we have also PricewaterhouseCoopers, a consulting firm, supporting with the commercial strategy to ensure the market reach. Next slide, please. What motivated this project? As tangible data, we have that Europe is the biggest wine producer in the world. 60% of wine production in Europe, and agriculture is the major economic activity in Southern Europe. 20% of the total jobs in agriculture are related to wine, representing around 3 million jobs in the wine sector. As we are seeing also, agriculture has a very important role in climate change. As experts say, it is responsible for more than 20% of CO2 emissions. We all know that the conventional agriculture is facing new challenges, as for example, reducing dependence on pesticides, improving biodiversity, and adapting to climate change. Next slide, please. And why Earth observation systems? Agriculture can be greatly improved with the help of Earth observation systems. The use of these resources can improve the efficiency of vineyards thanks to more accurate mapping, new production indicators, and improved forecasting. Satellite data allow the extraction of useful indicators to promote better management and planning, as well as the optimization of the agricultural practices. All this is key to meet the challenges for the traditional agriculture. And with VitiGEOSS, we want to have sustainable agriculture and to reduce the negative effects of climate change. Next slide, please. Thanks. So our goal is to create a user-friendly management tool, providing decision support system for phenology, irrigation, disease, and resource management. And we combine satellite images with other data sources, as for example, drones and field sensors, to launch a modular tool that will cover the entire viticultural process in a single platform. This set of services are, for example, weather and climate forecasting, which allow providing subseasonal and seasonal weather forecasts so that growers can make quick decisions, for example, when conditions are expected to damage crops. Phenology, which predicts and monitors the annual phenological cycle to plan vineyard management and optimize resources. We have a disease management service which will send disease alerts based on symptoms and meteorological characteristics of a geographical area and optimize then treatment. We have the crop management service, in which satellite images will monitor crop conditions indicator to improve productivity, optimizing irrigation and crop quality. We have also the sustainability and resource management service, which will allow better planning to choose the optimal time to apply the use of raw materials and providing sustainability indicators. Next slide, please. And finally, the pilot will be carried out in 3 areas in Europe, belonging to the three major wine growers, such as Symington in Portugal, Mastro Bernardino in Italy, and Torres in Spain. Symington is one of the most important wine producers in the Douro area. Mastro Bernardino is located in the Campania region, and they own vineyards in Mirabella e Clano, and Torres are in Catalonia, and here in the project are piloting in the area of Juneda. These 3 end users have participated in the design of the services and are providing their data for the calibration of the tools, and in the following months will validate also the platform. And now I hand over to the team talking in more detail about the intelligent services.
Okay, thank you, Rosa. And to our audience, just remember that if you have some questions, you can post them using the Q&A button, and then we will ask them to Rosa and also to Marta at the end of their presentations. Now, these next presentations will be given by Marta Otero. She's also based in EURECAT. She's a researcher at the Applied Artificial Intelligence Unit, and she will briefly introduce now the VitiGEOSS intelligence services. So Marta, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, good morning. In this presentation, I will go deeper into the VitiGEOSS intelligence services. The VitiGEOSS smart services just comprise a series of 5 tools that communicate with each other and whose results will be presented in the VitiGEOSS platform that will be shown later on. These services focus on short and medium-term weather forecast, on the study and prediction of crop phenology and crop production, on the anticipation of 2 of the main diseases affecting vines, and the optimization of resources to enable greater resilience and sustainability of the businesses. Next, please. The first of these services is based on weather forecasting to help farmers to anticipate and prepare for unusual weather events and extreme events that may damage the crops. Next, please. This service provides 3 types of data. First of all, the short-term weather forecast, which anticipates the weather condition for the next 3 days. The seasonal forecast, which lasts up to 4 weeks. And the seasonal forecast that covers the climate prediction for the next 3 months. Next, please. Climate predictions are obtained through the use of different equations that combine both atmospheric and terrestrial data, and that they are further processed with next generation methodologies just to provide a final prediction. These methods guarantee the quality and resolution of the data and make possible to define the threshold for what a normal year is considered based on observations in previous years. Next, please. In this way, the stakeholder can explore the forecast for a given period, both in the surroundings of vineyards, or even can select a specific location to see the temporal evolution of the forecast for 1 to 3 months ahead. Next, please. Phenological monitoring relies on automated system for predicting monitoring the entire annual phenological cycle to better plan and organize vineyard management and optimize resources. Next. Grape growers use phenology to track and recognize the annual growth and developmental stages of the grapevine. The Biolinear scale is a standardized way to describe phenological growth stages of the grapevines. This knowledge provides the basis for decision-making for cultivar choice, spray timing, fertilization, vineyard soil and canopy management to harvest. Next, please. This phenological service both monitors the current phenological phase in near real time and uses historical and weather forecast data to predict when the next phenological phases will be placed. For this purpose, this service relies on satellite, drone, and camera imagery, data from on-site weather stations and weather forecasts provided by the previous service, which are which are all processed and fed into different models. These models are after trained with real phenology data from the plots and make possible to quantify the error between the real and predicted phenology in terms of days. Now, yes. The following service is based on the study of different physiological aspects of the crop to optimize irrigation, sampling or selective harvesting, leading to obtain a better quality and production of grapes. Next one. Through the use of satellite imagery, Earth observing systems, and the data provided by the two previous services, this service focuses on monitor the crop status in a weekly basis during the entire growth season in order to assess the crop water use through evapotranspiration, crop nitrogen content, and finally crop productivity. Next one. The biomass production of the crop is calculated on the basis on the efficiency of photosynthetically active radiation used by the plants and various environmental conditions, such as irradiance, air temperature, relative humidity, and potential water stress in the soil. Next one. The disease management tool anticipates the evolution of the diseases by taking into account past and future weather conditions, as well as the phenological and physiological state of the plant, in order to optimize the number of treatments and resources, and also ensure their effectiveness. Next one. This tool relies on predictions and estimates from previous services, together with microclimate data, which is very important for this kind of models, from each of the plots, and qualitative and quantitative observations done in those fields. All these data are fed into models that are trained with real historical plot data and provide a qualitative daily or seasonal, depending on what the stakeholder decides, infection levels. And also a specific treatment to be applied in terms of fungicide and its dosage. Next one. Okay. In this way, this service provides disease prediction in both a 3-day and a 3-month time period for each study plot. In addition, in some cases, it is possible to detect the onset of potential infected events and follow their evolution in real time. Next one. The latest SMART service is based on dynamic resource planning to identify the best time for field operations, for improving resource planning, with the aim to reduce the use of raw materials and promote sustainable viticulture. Also, this service will provide a semi-automatic monitoring tool for sustainability indicators. Next one, and final one. With the 3 defined use cases, different elements of farm management optimizations are studied. In general terms, this service monitors the use of available resources and adjusts them just to improve the farmers' resilience and obtain a sustainability product of higher quality. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. Yeah. So thanks for this very illustrative presentation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I think it will be better. And I think we have now one question from our audience, which is, it's for you, Marta, actually. They are asking us, how is the drone data incorporated to the artificial intelligence model in order to facilitate the phenological monitoring? And also, how much of the data at this stage comes from Earth observations and how much comes from other services?
Well, I will start with the last question. Mainly this kind of data are provided from Earth observation services, and some of I don't want to say residual, I would say some minor data are provided by the drone imagery. These drone data are incorporated through the use of neural networks that identify each of the that are used with a frequency of about 2 weeks during the crop production stage. And these all images that are collected are just after processed with neural networks models, just to identify the different phenological stages of the crop. And I think I've answered almost the entire question.
Thank you, Marta. Yeah, if not, I guess they can complain on the chat. Yeah, they say thank you. I also have another question that I would like to ask you, and in the meantime, we can wait and see if someone else is going to ask anything else. Rosa has talked about different pilot regions for VitiGEOSS in Spain, in Italy, and in Portugal. And then you have presented the different intelligence services, and I would like to know, and also the audience to know, if these intelligence services can be also applied in regions outside from these pilot regions, or they are more limited to the pilot ones.
Don't worry, Rosa.
Okay.
No, of course, for sure. They can be also adapted to different other pilots, just to taking into account that some of the infrastructures must be also installed on these fields due to we do some of the flights with drones. Some of the data come from cameras from in-field plots, and some of data for sure are needed from in-field sensors are needed to just to provide data for some of the models. So yes, it can be extended to other plots, but taking into account the whole infrastructure that is needed.
Thank you. I don't know, Rosa, if you would like to add something, or is clear?
Just to say that there will be intelligence services that will be easier to adapt to other areas and cultivars. Yeah, and also depends a lot on the open source data available. Also, we need to do some calibration on the fields. Then this how easy it is to extend to other areas and cultivars. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Clear enough. I mean, it will depend a lot on the local characteristics, of course. And I don't know if we have time for another question, because I see there is one. I guess we can quickly try to answer it. So it's for Marta again. Does the project plan to also use aircraft remote sensing?
We have not contemplated yet, but I'm sure it will provide some useful data for the entire intelligent services performance. So it will be an interesting feature to incorporate.
Okay, thanks. And now, yes, I think we need to move to the next session, which will be an interaction with the users. And I give the floor back to Andrea now.
Good morning, everyone. So in this session, we will have a discussion with wine producers involved in the project. And with us today, we have Marta Torres, who is a viticulture and bee manager from Familia Torres, and Antonio Dente, who is an agronomic manager from Mastro Berardino, and Fernando Alves, who is an R&D viticulture senior manager from Symington. So to start this conversation, Antonio, maybe can you tell us how is sustainability important for the wine industry?
Thank you, Andrea. Good morning, everyone. Yes, sustainability as a philosophy is particularly important in the modern viticulture. Many wineries, such as my company, Mastro Berardino, are involved in projects and specific certifications about sustainability. Today, there is a great interest in this issue with the aim to protect soil, water and air quality, together with the employees and the consumers. The protection of the health of the vineyard soil and the surrounding environment is above all also a great tool to enhance the specific terroir. In fact, by preserving biodiversity and reducing synthetic chemical inputs, sustainable growth can protect the health of the vines, land and people, creating a better and healthy place to live and work, and produce quality grapes with personality and distinctiveness. Basically, it is the focus of each producer to make the consumers aware about the best winery practices that preserve and respect the environment.
That's great, Antonio. Thank you. Fernando, do you have anything else to add on the sustainability aspect?
Well, good morning, everybody. So what Antonio said is very important for all of us, not only the producers here presenting this project that made different contributions inside this project, but sustainability is one of the key issues that we need to achieve not only today, but in near future, and in order to develop and have more sustainable business for all the wine producers. I must say not only for our region, but across the world. So one of the key issues for sustainability is also to promote biodiversity or better biodiversity and promoting biodiversity, and most important, functional biodiversity. We can promote sustainability in our business, and every tools that can help all the growers in order to develop this kind of innovative and sustainable and regenerative agricultural practices, both including agroecological approaches, using some guidelines for this, namely for the regeneration of biodiversity in soil, water, and other resources, for sure. This is very, very important in order to array some of our socioeconomic and environmental challenges. So one of the things is a key for our action is all this biodiversity that lies on sustainable developments is a very important regulator of all the agro-system functions. So this kind of tool, using better the water, understanding the soil behavior, understanding vine canopy and vine development season, can help all the growers to apply very precisely the resources that that have available for the management of the vineyard. So this is very important to have these kind of tools that are oriented to this goal, not only to optimize the yield, quality, and so on, but also the optimization of the resource. This is one of the issues to apply this kind of tool.
Thank you, Fernando. So next, I would like to ask you, which are the key challenges that the wine industry is facing at the moment and also in the future? Montse?
Hello, thank you, Andrea. Hello to everyone. I would like to say today that maybe climate change is the greatest threat faced by the wine industry. Wine is highly sensitive to changes in temperature, and water also. So, for example, talking about temperature, in our region, we have witnessed an increase in the average in the Penedès region over the last 40 years. So the change in temperature is having a direct effect on the wines. For example, causing the harvest now take place 10 days earlier than a few decades ago. So this means that berries reach higher sugar concentrations much more earlier than before, whereas the skins and seeds ripen at a slower pace. So this imbalance ends up having an influence on the quality of wines. We have wines with a higher alcohol content, unripened tannins, increase of pH, lower acidity, etc. So in order to mitigate all of these effects of climate change and reduce their impact in the grapevine, vineyard manager practices are adapting to the delay of fruit maturation. So, for example, search for new sites of cultivation at a higher altitudes or latitudes where the climate is cooler. For example, every 100 meters of elevation, temperature almost drop 1 degree, for example, just for you to know. But also we work with irrigation. We are in a context of a lack of water, and we need tools to adapt irrigation to this present condition, but also to future conditions. So we think this project can help us a lot.
That's great, Montse, thank you. And other than climate change and the challenges that Montse mentioned, Antonio, maybe do you have any other challenges in mind?
Certainly, as Montse said, the most important challenge to fight is climate change and its impacts, in particular extreme events, which are more and more frequent. Other future challenges will be to ensure agricultural productivity and sustainable food production that is in line with the farm to fork strategy, which is at the heart of the European Green Deal, but also to cope with the rising energy prices that we are seeing nowadays, and also water scarcity. Moreover, the farm to fork strategy also means a 50% reduction in the use of pesticides, thus reducing the risk significantly.
Yep. So, Andrea, let me adjust something about looking for the words of Montse and also for my colleagues Montse and Antonio. For sure, climate change is a big challenge for all of us. And only to give you a single remark, for example, in 2020, we can find in our region near 40, when I say near 40 days, because in reality was 39 consecutive days with temperature higher than 35 degrees from a couple of days just before the variation until the beginning of the harvest. So it's a huge condition for this region. It was totally abnormal this situation, and there are some varieties have negative effects under this condition for sure. as the region is a slope area, there are plenty of tools that we can use to adapt for climate change. First of all, zoning, our varieties, looking for the aspect of our landscapes and exhibition, because it's a very important tool to manage. And as also as Montse say, we can play with the elevation in our landscape in order to reduce these impacts. We have trials that we follow, some different trials with our grape libraries and grape collections, that, for example, there are a difference between some of them in average 2.8 degrees on the growing season basis from April to October. So we need to use all this information packed in a tool in order to take decisions not only about the near future or not only for the mid-term adaptation strategies, but also in the short term during the season. So this is one of the years that we can use some of these information in order to manage our.
That's great. Thank you, Fernando, for the inputs, and Montse and Antonio. And so, Antonio, you mentioned that we need to ensure agricultural productivity and the farm to fork strategy. How do you think VitiGEOSS can help tackle this challenge and also the other challenges mentioned by Montse and Fernando?
Yes, we all agree that farmers and viticulturists need new tools which can allow them to optimize yields, monitor product quality, climate and pests, improve crop management and reduce resource cost. The VitiGEOSS platform could be very useful with a wide range of services in the same decision support system, such as we have seen, phenology, weather forecast, climate prediction, crop status monitoring, and satellites images. This tool could also have the additional value of being less time consuming and could help the viticulture manager to monitor in advance the production, improving the results and having the clear idea of what vintage he has to manage.
That's great. Thank you, Antonio. And next, I would like to ask the partners, what was your motivation in becoming involved in the project? Maybe Montse?
Okay, well, thank you. In Torres Winery, we have been working with several platforms for a long time, such, platforms like climatic data, volumetric water content in the soil, satellite images, There are a lot of data that they are integrated in different platforms with different links, with associated passwords, also all of them are in different file formats, and this make it very difficult to work with all of this data together. So that's why we were interested in the VitiGEOSS project, because as also Antonio has said, VitiGEOSS platforms offer us the possibility of regrouping all of this data in a single space, ordering them and turning them into an accurate information from the end user, like the three of us. So that's why we were very interested in this project.
Thank you, Montse. And Fernando, maybe do you have anything to add?
Well, I must say there are nothing new to adjust to what Montse say, because it's all an hour of our concern. But for sure, a grower like Simiton or Torres or Marta Otero for sure use different tools to take decisions in the management of the vineyards. And one of our problems is to use, and you need to look for different sites, data platform, or even collecting some data in field in our experimental plots, in our reference plots, because we use a lot of these reference in field, not only for conduct some experiments, not only by these companies ourselves, but also in cooperation with different research centers in order to incorporate more knowledge in our activity. But we need also to have some reference data in order to support our decisions. And one of the problem is, as you can see in my hair, in my white hair in the head, is a long years taking some of this data. Some of these kind of reference data, I start to collect this in the field more than 20 years ago, and I say, okay, I need something simple and easy to use, and I don't want to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning to make some pre-down water references in our vineyards, because we need something simple to apply through the season and to take some decision. But okay, 20-something years ago, I still continue to have this activity because it's in our genetics constitution of, I think, everybody. But for sure, not only the aim is to contribute for the validation of these new tools, and we have a great hope in order to have this kind of information in order to simplify our lives for the managing of our activity in field.
Thank you all. And finally, to close the discussion, I just want to ask you if there's any information that you think that will become more relevant in the future for your company and the wine sector. Antonio?
Yes, speaking of sustainability, you know, sustainable initiatives require planning, monitoring, and also assessment of knowledge. It is a constantly evolving process, and as such, it requires continuous evaluation and improvement. Thus, as a consequence, it can be useful to have a tool like VitiGEOSS to monitor the sustainability key points, but also in the near future, it can be very useful to have also information about the soil degradation and erosion that is strictly connected to climate change.
Great. Does anyone have anything, any last remarks?
Okay.
No.
That's great.
This is not only important to have this information, but also to learn how to understand and how to apply all this information available. And most important, as also my colleagues say, is to turn this information simple and with a tool that can digest all the information in order to reducing all the noise that a lot of information can produce, in order to see what is most important to take decisions. And we need to take decisions very fast and very precise in our activity. So this is very important for us.
That's great. Thank you, everyone, for the very interesting discussion. Next, I would like to give the floor to Ernesto Bastidas, who is a project and business manager in the ILIF company. And Ernesto will present to us a sneak peek into the VitiGEOSS platform. Please, Ernesto.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you very much for the time and for the nice discussions. I mean, first of all, this is a collaborative effort. I mean, you have seen the end user side, intelligence partners, and now has been months of discussions how to design, of how to co-design a product that can facilitate the questions or issues that have been posed already during this webinar. So I'm going to share my screen, and please let me know when it's through. So it's true, Andrea.
Yes, we can see your
okay,
screen
good.
now.
So what this is based on FieldLook. FieldLook is an ILIF state-of-the-art platform, which is usually used for depicting satellite based information, but through this project, we have bring this to the next level, integrating different services as weather and climate, phenology, crop status, disease management, business and sustainability. So what every user has a set of credentials which give them direct access to their own fields. So this is one of our partners in Portugal. So what first you get to launch is a screen where you can visualize your fields, and the information is being fetched. And this is one of our fields that in Portugal, where Fernando was talking about. But also they can have an overview of fields within the same farm. So this is, for example, the tree crop indicator. You can make a selection per variety, because we have heard the importance to be able to compare per variety, but also you can compare by crop type. In this case, we are just talking about grapes, so all the fields are being compared against each other. Also, another important attribute of element of this platform is the possibility to look through time. Usually you learn from what happened the previous season, so you can go into the history of the fields and, for example, stop in 1 month, and then you see the variability of these fields. This is, for example, crop indicators based on satellite imagery. But as my colleagues have presented, we are working in the disease alert, where, for example, the end user can define what kind of alerts they want to have, for example, for downy mildew or powdery mildew, in order to be more accurate with the prescriptions of the treatments that they have to address. Our partners dedicated with the phenology, for example, they have different set of models where the phenology is being assessed, and phenology is an important factor where decisions are being made throughout the growing season. This, what you are seeing now, is just data being fetched directly from their own services, from their own applications. So it's not data being stored at our end. It's just data that is being fetched now, just now, with the information that they provide with the different models. But also they can check at a whole set of farms that you have already seen, how they behave for the different with the phenology phases for the different fields that they have. This is, for example, one of the aspects of phenology. For weather and climate, which was mentioned several times, the team has made a magnificent, an interesting effort how to define what is the short-term, the subseasonal and seasonal forecast, where what the end user is willing to receive. So, for example, this is short-term forecast, fetching data from their own system for the coming 3 days every hour. This you are looking now is a temperature, but you can have a different set of variables where you can base your decisions. But the decision doesn't go for only the coming 3 days, but extends towards the coming weeks. When you go, for example, in the subseasonal, but it can go even through the coming months when you go to the seasonal. The other set is the crop indicators of parameters, where, for example, the end users can check the development of the crop throughout the growing season, and they can see the spatial variability of their fields and make decisions. This is satellite-based information. And the other functionality that we have is the possibility to check at field level. And here, for example, you have the field properties that have been provided by the end users. So, for example, what we have is the field information, for example, attitude of information that correspond for each parcel. We have also the data components, the phenology, which depends on the predictions made by the partner, but also the end user can provide the actual data in order to validate and send this information straight to the end user, to the intelligent service provider, and they can optimize and use this new information from the end user to improve their models. And the disease management, where based on the alerts that were defined previously, they receive in the short term and subseasonal and seasonal alerts on disease like mildew and pollen mildew, with the different types of risks that you see in red, yellow, and green. So this is a sneak peek for the platform. It's now being used for the pilot and for the different users. We are still working in the business and sustainability, and also receiving feedback from the end users in order to improve the functionality, and also from the partners in order to improve the functionality, not only of the platform, but also of the data that is being produced. So this is what I just wanted to bring as a sneak preview of the platform.
That's great. Thank you very much, Ernesto. And if you have any questions, please post them in the questions box, and we will respond to them at the end. And also, if you have any questions for the panelists who were here earlier, also please post them. Thank you, Ernesto. Next, we would like to have a bit of an interactive session. So we will have a mentee questionnaire. If you haven't done this before, you can scan this code from your phone, or go to mentee.com and add this code. I will wait for a few minutes, until a few seconds, until you can access this. So please scan the QR code. We would just like to ask you a few questions and your opinion, and interact with you. Okay, let's move on to the first question. So the first question is, which of these roles characterize you best? Wine producer, viticulturist, agriculture stakeholder, earth observation or climate services provider, technology provider, researcher, policymaker, or just interested in the wine sector and other. So I see lots of answers coming through. So here we have mostly viticulturists and researchers in the audience. I will give you a few more seconds for this. That's great. And if you haven't joined yet, the instructions, the code is in the chat and also here at the top. So next question. Which intelligence services are you familiar with? So if you have used any, if you have heard of these services before rather than used. And we have the services that we currently are developing in VitiGEOSS here. Thank you. We're getting lots of answers. So most of you are familiar with weather forecasts, climate forecasts, and then disease management, crop status monitoring. That's great. Thank you. Most people are familiar with weather forecasts, which are for the next days. Next, which of these have you actually used for decision making? So in your operations, for planning, for any purpose in your activities. So weather forecasts, climate forecasts, phenological monitoring. I see that you have used most of these. And again, weather forecasts and then climate forecasts are the top answers, together with disease management. I'll give you one more second. That's great, thank you. And then, are there any topics that you're interested in learning more about? And this is referring to the services that we presented or anything that we presented earlier, and it will help us shape the future webinars. So as Marta mentioned earlier, we will have 3 more webinars, and this will be more technical. So some of the topics we're thinking is more about, for example, climate predictions or any other of the tools. So if you have something in particular that you would like to learn more about, and we can address in the next webinars, please introduce it here. So we have some answers: sustainability indicators, soil moisture, regenerative agriculture using digital technologies, interoperability, disease detection and management, field data acquisition. So we have some very interesting responses here. I will give you a few more seconds, and then we have, I think, the final question: how wine makers are building this both into their business planning, yield forecast, phenological stage, monitoring. That's great. Thank you, everyone, for interacting with us. And finally, do you see a use for the VitiGEOSS platform or similar services in your business and sector, even if it's not the wine sector? Do you think such services could help you? And these services, I remind you, include disease monitoring, crop status monitoring, forecasts for weather and climate. That's great, thank you. Yes. Great, thank you very much. We see lots of enthusiasm. Most people agree that these kind of services will be useful for them. And I will stop sharing.
Yeah, indeed, we will take into account all the suggestions to the previous topics. And yeah, so we are approaching the end of this webinar. And before closing, I would like to just, well, I see we have one question now. So perhaps we can address this question and then we can wrap up a little bit the main ideas and close. So yeah, this question was for Ernesto, and it's: in what format can the end user export the data and share this data?
So thank you for the question. So it can be downloaded into Excel format, and it can also be shared via email. So the end user can indicate an email address where the email needs to be sent out, and then the information can go straight to that particular person or group of people that the user wants to receive, wants to send this information. Basically, what happens is that the end user downloads this information into Excel, and then they further use that for their own purposes. We are still co-designing how to share, for example, information like maps. So that is still in the pipeline process, and any feedback is more than welcome.
Okay, thanks, Ernesto. And yeah, just before closing, let me summarize some notes that I was taking from the discussion with users and also from the presentations, and to see if all of you also agree. If not, yeah, you can add any comment as well in the chat. So we were discussing about important things for the viticulture sector, and our users mentioned that, of course, the viticulture sector is trying to maximize the yield and the quality of grapes and wine, but also the optimization of resources is a very important aspect to take into account. Then also climate change was identified by Monse as the main threat to the wine industry, and the other end users, of course, they also agreed that now the way things are done need to be adapted to the new conditions. Extreme events were also mentioned by Antonio. I think I remember that they are becoming more frequent, and this is also another challenge for the sector. Then Fernando indicated that the tools that we provide need to be simple, need to provide the information in a digested way. It cannot be something users need to make a study to interpret. So it needs to be straight to the point, and users only need to make the decision of acting or not acting, or applying one measure or not doing that. And finally, we mentioned that it's very important to have like all the information in just a single point. So it makes me think about seamless approaches. So seamless in terms of having all the information from different sources together, but also when we're talking about information at different timescales, users would need to be able to have all this information together and not bother about which source or which graph this information is coming from, but only to have it available and use it. And with this, I think more or less we will wrap up the main ideas, and back to you, Andrea, to close the session.
That's great. Thank you very much for this summary, Marta. And thank you to all the panelists, all the attendees, everyone who presented. So we will see you in the next webinar, which will be in the next few months. And the topic of this is to be defined. It will be a more technical webinar. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.